The Sociopath Excuse Part 3. So, if you guys don't know what the sociopath excuse was, is there was a time where I was known for finally getting what I want, finally being in control of where I go in my own life, and these people had the audacity to tell me that I'm a little kid, that I blame the world for my problems, and that I am still a little kid inside. Even though I've made Instagram clout, I don't have anything personal to show off. Like, oh, there's nothing in your name. Oh, there's this and that. Oh, it doesn't matter if celebrities give you praise. You still have a shitty personal life. I'm like, ha ha ha. It's because you know I have a personal life is the reason why you're stuck with no freedom, and you know that you're doing slavery work, and I can have my cake and eat it too. Due to multidimensionality, because I have the perspective of not signing a contract, not doing this and that, not being a part of something. I understand that a car is dead. I understand that what they're trying to give me is dead. So where they're coming at me with is the philosophy ever since from 8th grade all the way through I'm a senior in high school, that Justin and Arturo are better than me because they have more friends, they're more socially accepted, they're quicker on their feet. And I'm like, they're a walking stage show. That's why they have no car. That's why they don't have this and that. But you will advocate for them because they can make you laugh and they can entertain you, but I want something out of it. Stop being selfish. Go with the flow. Now, earlier I did a video about why they tried to pair me up with a cosplayer of Harley Quinn, trying to say that I had no game before I got home, before I scratched the devil. So let's check where we last left off. First two videos explain why they said I had no social skills, and the second video tells them why I won and why I told them to fuck off, and why what they're telling me to do isn't that hard, because I spent another year in the hyperbolic time chamber that taught me everything that was a lie from the streets from Raj. So Raj plays a big part in the Sociopath Part 3 because Raj corrects Arturo and Justin about their philosophies of how they ain't shit, and how even hood niggas like anime, and how they knew how to hide it in front of girls. I advertised it when I was in high school, and they always use that for ammo. But was this time into the sociopath? Because they trying to say that, oh, you're in a whole animation rap league. They go work and they go to school and they talk about politics, and you're just a little kid. You don't care about politics. I'm like, no. A lot of grown men know that politics are full of shit, but that's a story for another day. If you don't think I know about politics, go watch my Big Town channel where I talk about Donald Trump. They're basically saying that I'm a sociopath because I tried to fit in where everybody telling me to stop trying to fit in, be yourself, be your anime nerd, and everything's gonna fall into place. Why? So I can get into the guy that kept on getting rejected by Stephanie but had a fat girlfriend on the side. And they're telling me to not judge those people by their covers, and that's why they're able to call you out on their bullshit. That same fat girlfriend he has, the same one that called me out in the Chumley video saying that she was bored. But literally, earlier I was telling her I was trying to commit suicide, and she literally offered to hang out with me after that just to pity me. They call me a sociopath because I bore people with my personal problems when they're overflowing and they don't give a shit about the abusive relationship with my family. I knew they don't give a shit now. When I was growing up, I kept on looking for sympathy from people. I'm like, I've been special ed, work with me, people literally. Having people like this, no one cares if you're in special ed, this and that. Obviously, your teachers didn't care because they didn't teach you shit. Why don't you put your personal problems to the side and start having fun? You expected too much in sports, that's why you didn't enjoy them. Maybe if you would just with the flow and stop expecting sports to be on the anime shit, you would have had fun. I'm expecting too much out of life when Justin and Arturo keep on hitting me with movie shit over and over and over again. They're trying to say that when the going gets tough, you get tougher. When in reality, they keep on creating situation after situation to dumb me down until the point where I'm a fucking potato. They're basically saying that because I think I know what I'm talking about, is that's why I get corrected every time. I'm like, no, what you guys do is you exaggerate what the fuck education is. No, education is so fucking cringy to the point when they say that Viagra doesn't make your penis bigger. Does your penis change size when you take Viagra? Yes, it does. Pedro had no right to correct me, but they followed Pedro's shit like, you need to be more educated. You need to be more this and that. You need to analyze the situation. Stop dancing out in public. Well, you don't give me shit to supplement for that. You don't give me anything else better to do. And you're trying to say that there's a million things better to do in the world. You're immature. I'm like, no, you're taking advantage of that. You're spoiled, snobbish white kids. I didn't figure that out until I was older, that everything that they're doing has to do with money. If it's not illegal, it's money. And they're trying to say that I'm a sociopath, that I'm selfish, and that I always want to show people my A and B. I don't want to be one with everyone. You don't want to play Call of Duty. You want to play Ultimate Ninja Storm. You're a little kid. Talk about politics. Talk about this and that. That's why you're a little kid. So that's just the introduction. That's the angle where they're coming at me with. They're trying to say that even bad people are better than me because it's better to do wrong than do nothing at all. And since they're going all out and being bad, and since I didn't know what side I wanted to choose, they blamed it on me not socializing at all when I was younger and not getting to know the world when I was young. I'm sorry that I wasn't a hoodlum when I was young, people, and I realized that's what the fuck it was when I was older. But at the time, I'm taking everything they're saying to heart. Just like I took what Pedro said to heart instead of actually backing it up with my actions, because if I do that, they can call me a fucking animal. It's like, instead of you trying to resolve everything with violence, why don't you just cap back? Super scary reverse psychology if you guys haven't been just capping. I'm multi-talented and you're trying to blame me for not doing one thing that doesn't matter? But you see how that's a heavy gaslight, right? That's a part about being social. No, when you make jokes for everyone. You don't make jokes in order to hurt someone else. And they try to call me a sociopath because don't get butthurt because everybody else is adapting. Okay, well, Seymour didn't have to adapt. I learned the hard way that you can't just get girls just off looks alone. You're gonna have to back it up. Now, you can get raped by looks alone, but you can never have a girl actually stay there by your side by looks alone. And that is just the introduction. So the Sociopath Part 3 is basically me proving everybody that I'm not a sociopath, that you guys are just not playing fair, and that you guys are not picking me on the team, even though I have all the requirements just because of a personal grudge. But you guys went through a stage of discipline. Just because you went through a stage does not mean that stage is entirely the world. They put specific shit in front of my face after they know that they're fucking up, and they blame me for doing shit when they are making situation after situation, knowing that white people get away with their past and knowing that women get away with their pussy past. That is the angle. They're covering up that shit is easier for them. When they're saying the going gets tough, you get tougher, that means that they're white and they get everything through a pussy pass. So the Sociopath Excuse Part 3, that really is just the introduction. Now here's what I'm going through. This is a 30-minute video because this is wrapping up why I proved everybody wrong, but why they had ammo against me, but why the ammo didn't last, because they kept on taking advantage of their management positions, knowing I know how they got those management positions and why I stayed away. And I'm like, okay, I know how it is now. So let's check off when we last left off. So earlier, I didn't even sleazeball this girl named Jordan. Jordan was a girl that I met at a convention that literally was so fucking nice to me, but she disrespected one video that pissed me off because I learned a lot about female nature, and the video literally stated that she doesn't give a fuck about Sanji's personal problems. They don't give a fuck that Sanji got beaten by his own family. I want you to deal with hypergamy. You know why? Because the other people that dealt with hypergamy that ran away from their single household are in a gang, and I'm not. And Jordan takes this to Warren Gray because everybody is praising her for her beauty, and I'm the only one calling her out on her bullshit, saying that, yo, I'm not going to handle disrespect where I already told you I'm going to take it slow. I don't take shit like that as a joke when there's a serious principle behind. But Jordan in her head is like, oh, it's okay. I just need you to deal with a little bit of hypergamy. Your personality is doing it for now, but later on I'm going to have you get a car and this and that. I'm like, okay, yeah. I wish you knew the story about how they just fucked up my credit. Since Jordan does not have to deal with the problems that black people have to face with, they can manipulate Jordan to a point where she will only want the Disney fantasy, because no guy will ever go that far to actually deliberately say, I want to get in your pants. She has constant people commenting on her model post saying that, oh, you're so beautiful, this and that. When I comment on her model post, I'm like, nice house. Another reason why they told me I'm dumb for not socializing when I was young is the fact that the majority of this world works off who you know, not what you know. And so that's why they call me dumb as fuck. It's like, oh man, if you were to socialize, it doesn't matter if you were being bad. You will always have an outlet. You always have someone to defend you. I'm like, is that someone really reliable now that I'm older? I believed everything now because I didn't question people that got jobs as soon as they got out of jail. I'm like, okay, well, they're more street smart. They know how to persuade people better. They know how to do this and that. I have no right to judge them because that's just them. That's like me asking why does Anti-Burger Itachi have a job? Because he's older, and that's it, and that's all I needed to know. I didn't know the inner details, but now that I know the inner details, I still don't care. I'm just getting money, and that's it. If you guys have this and that, I'm like, I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to make my money. I'm like, no. That's what they're saying. They're like, join the crew. And how this ties into joining is I get a job right after tell her how I feel about how I'm really sensitive about that subject and how literally someone almost tried to rape me my very first job. And literally, the reason why I don't deal with hypergamy is because they don't understand my fucking situation. I grew up for an entire fucking high school that knows about my situation, that knows about the stereotype about the single mother household, but still doesn't give a fuck and still demands me to do the same fucking shit. They're trying to have me reconsider what the fuck I was already trying to do, saying that there's going to be something worth it in the end where there's not. I'm like, I want a hint. I want a guarantee. I want something to let me know it's going to happen. And the girls are all like, oh, there's no such thing as a guarantee in life. I'm like, okay. So that's like saying I study hard for a test and I'm not guaranteed an A. That's why I beat Gio. That's why I beat Justin. That's why I clowned on Arturo. It took time. They got their shit quick. And that's what happened. They called me slow. And that's why I run the race. Oh, the Fotail never wins. Yeah, it won, but it didn't win because of my family. It won because I put in the work for it to win. What they would do is they knew that I knew what the situation was, but they would try to fool me at the last minute. And this all ties into the sociopath excuse part 3, is that they tried to make me look like a little kid after the shit I did at Fanime. And they're trying to say that that shit is trivial. And basically what they're saying is you have no experience and that what the fuck is your gropes to a whole relationship. And I'm all like, okay, that sounds admirable at first, but when you actually break it down, this guy's wasting time, he's wasting gas money, he's wasting this and that, and he's not getting shit out of it. And I'm over here asking, is there something in it for me or not? Stop asking questions. Stop asking stupid questions. Go with the fucking flow. You're a sociopath. You don't know how to live life. You got to do it. It's a fucking journey. You're a fucking bitch. That's what happens when you pull a Justin. They try to hit you with logic out of nowhere when you've already made up your mind. When you're already through the situation, they want to hit you with logic. I'm like, no, you have to prove that actions are brighter than words. Oh, I can't fight back. It's against the law, this and that. It's like you should be scared of fighting a white person there as you're black. Is what they say in every single fucking situation. But how this ties into Jordan is that Jordan can literally send all these people who can bench press 232, everything, but they won't hold a candle to me. They'll be scared shitless because of the mental pain that I have went through. I can literally stare at someone as buff as them, and they will get scared shitless because those muscles are made by a man. They're made by a fucking machine. But what this really ties into Jordan is Jordan was the one who initiated the plan after I did not want to be Prince Charming, and C is the reason why the sociopath part 3 exists, and why it ties into Mob Psycho 100 is that I've had a figure like Reagan in my life where they're trying to reap the benefits. My Uncle Jiraiya tried to get me obsessed with Tyler Perry to a point where I believe in Tyler Perry. What he was going to do is that he was going to take advantage of my stage play into what he wanted me to be. But this ties into Sociopath Part 3 for a good reason, because they're believing the Tyler Perry fantasy. Don't be a deadbeat dad. Prepare for it, this and that, and have no game in between and let a girl walk over you like a doormat. The whole reason why sophomore year was so cringy, and why I didn't even get into a story yet, is because I'm proving these people wrong with my charisma, but they have everything on paper. That is the battle between me and sophomore year, flight school. And literally, they're trying to make me look like a little kid now. Now it's time to go into the events of the Sociopath Part 3 and why I'm proving that I'm not a sociopath, but I basically am a sociopath on paper. They're saying that I blame the whole world for my problems when they're actually accountable. And it's like, there's no way you can point your finger at every fucking person, even though I went through a whole high school, a whole junior high, and like those junior high and high schools don't connect to other people in the real world. There's no way you can point the finger at someone else and blame them for their personal problems, even though they're all connected. It came to people after people after people trying to tell me that I have no game, telling me that I'm not aggressive enough. When what they're trying to do is they're trying to make me say, hey, I'm trying to eat your pussy out. And the black girl's gonna be like, oh yeah, just pop my pussy like this and that. I'm like, no, that's a joke. And you know what I did when a girl tried to do that with me? She's like, oh, you're hella fine and this and that. What's your number and this and that? I'm like, you're not gonna text me back. Before it even happened, you're not gonna text me back. So, the sociopath excuse part 3 start off with me not getting along with Jordan, with Jordan expected me to be Prince Charming. So here's how the events happen. So those two girls that hook up with Rod start following me to my new group home because I got kicked out of the first one because I yelled at the lady that I told to protect my food, and she told me that normally we have a code that I'll protect it, but she didn't protect it that time, and I called it out and I got kicked out. But it doesn't matter because that is my personal shit. But she's in charge of the house. You gotta understand that I was put in situation after situation where I had knowledge, but I had no power. So it starts off like this. So these two girls are loving my lifestyle. They still love all the music I'm playing. So here's what I do. It's like after I get back and, I slow down for my job, I take it slow a little bit, and I got to reminisce about why I am great. Now, it starts off, the Sociopath Excuse Part 3 starts off in Dark Game, Chapter 3, a reminder that I am great. So, I achieved something that puts me in the Hall of Fame, so I can never be insecure. I can never take what they say seriously because they can't do what I have done. I've already earned my medal, so nobody can talk shit to me. So they're trying to say life goes on. I'm like, I can die right now and get the last laugh. And I'm just absorbing the situation, so I get this feel that I'm in junior high because these otaku girls that were cosplayers that follow me know nothing about hip-hop, know nothing about what I had to go through, and they're listening to my iPod, and they're all like, oh, this guy's hella cool, I'm stalking him, and this and that is so fucking crazy. The shows he's watching are incredible, this and that. And I'm all like, when I'm listening to this songs, what happened is, there was a time where I sat back and I specifically chose songs that I found in junior high. Not the shitty songs that Arturo was talking about, but the old songs that I used to slap back when I was in 8th grade. And they're all like, dude, this is incredible. I'm like, dude, I've been like this already when I'm in 8th grade. And you know what? My mind was decaying. My mind was literally turning gray. My mind was literally slowly coming to a realization that I don't have no resources, and so I'm at the same level that I am in junior high. Even though the reality is that they set the whole shit up, the overwhelming fact that even though I have clout, even though I have bitches, it explains why I'm in a group home. Literally, the devil can always say, oh, you didn't listen to your mom. It's so self-explanatory about why you're here and this and that. But I kept on smiling. I kept on dancing. I kept on making it through because I knew what the full story is. So here's where it goes. They try to criticize me this whole time. So this is back in the hyperbolic time chamber where my anti-burger Tachi tries to teach me how to drive. And for everyone who's wondering why I didn't learn how to drive and why I stopped beating myself up, is because he was trying to teach me how to not go on the edge right next to the sidewalk. So I was driving and I was looking straight and I see a curve and he's trying to teach me how to turn, and I'm wondering, is he gonna call out that I'm about to hit that curve? And I keep on going the same direction, waiting for him to call me out. And he's all like, he's acting dumb. He's like, oh, Eris, there's a curve out of nowhere. Well, I'm already aware there's a curve. I'm waiting for you to give me the direction to go straight. And literally, he's like, and the whole point is he was trying to make me and him commit suicide at the same time. That's an insider that I don't tell anyone. I'm like, you're trying to get me to get a car when my brother had a mental breakdown the moment I started to use the same tools? And then God's voice popped in my head. He's like, this is why you don't have it, but don't blame yourself. This is why you're gonna win, because they're doing outlandish shit behind the scenes and waiting for you to boil. Where it finally comes time to it, there's no way they can get away with trying to make you commit suicide over and over again and then try to call you a little kid. So let's get that out the way. So that's out the way. So these girls that are following me remind me a whole lot about my position in junior high. But you know what? I didn't take it for granted, and I'm glad I get to share my award with them. I'm glad I get to share what I've been through in junior high with them, because they haven't heard this shit before. This shit is foreign. This shit is so unique, but I'm like, you know what? My mind may be gray, but just because I can't have fun doesn't mean that prevents you from having fun. The whole time I was a Bay Area rap master was the time I was like Cyborg. I will take the L in order for the whole world to be okay. But you know what the world did? The world gave me the chance to prove everybody wrong, the chance to know that God has my back, and the chance to know that those people are wrong by letting the full story leak. But once we give Eris the same tools, I don't want you to say shit. And that happened the moment I started playing basketball. That happened the moment I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! That happened everything. Once they started clowning on me, I started winning. I'm like, you know what? There was this guy who flexed on me because I beat someone with Borlow Dragon. And literally, what happened was this. I got mad. And literally, Eris got mad. That's not going to help him the next duel. But you know what I did? Is I channeled my anger with composure. And I bought the right cards. I bought Black Rose Dragon. And I ethered the fuck out of people with Black Rose Dragon. Everybody's like, oh no, we gotta stop him from sick or something. And you know what? That's what happened, where Mob gets money. The sociopath excuse is trying to tell me that they're just laughing at me, that every girl is displaying me. You still don't know that they're adapting to hip-hop when they're young. I'm like, that's why I made it with cosplayers, because they were at the same social disadvantage that I was. So when they heard the full story, and they're high as fuck, and they're so socially deranged just like I was, you have no excuse, because you want, again, their parents, you want their company, only because they have a vagina. Fuck their social skills. The people are rigging, trying to use me for my talent, and they're not actually telling the truth. Oh, you're just hanging out with that girl because she laughs at you. Like, no, that girl wants to make out with me, Reagan. That's why when I said some overwhelming shit on Instagram, I texted this one girl about a reed pancake I made, and I texted her ingredients and how I put Reese's and pancake mix, and I didn't get a reply. And I'm like, oh. And I realized every time I got left on red, it was due to somebody hacking me, not her actual personal opinion. And I'm literally thinking that this is the same archetype of like, oh, she didn't reply because what you said is boring. And I started entering people once I got the same tools. Once I bought Black Rose Dragon, they got mad. So literally, normally when something happens, when I get cocky, they would come up with an even stronger card than Black Rose Dragon. But because I had the same tools, because I was put in the same situation, the exact opposite of what high school happened, because I tried my hardest and I dealt with the devil. I did what the devil said with Carney. I went all out, and even with something I didn't like, I went all out, and they still tried to call me a little kid at the end because, oh, there's a 1% and that 1% can grow. No. I control that garden. The bud you planted is in my garden. They kept on calling me a sociopath, trying to say that I have no friends, and literally, this is what makes up for it. But I have the perspective. I still have a couple of children. I know how the world is. I know that they're a victim of circumstances. I come from a place where, literally, Rod's taught me that it's all different, and that those spoiled white kids are trying to brainwash you, saying that you have to meet a specific standard when you really just have to be real. Stop trying to compete with everyone and give something that the girl can't see in other people. Give something that nobody else can give her, which is you. You can't be replaced, but those material things can, is what Robert told me. And literally, you can say the devil was like, oh, that's what you get for listening to his hoodlums, Eris. You're not a hood nigga. You didn't go a hood nigga all the way. That's why you fell in between the cracks. I'm like, if that was true, then Robert didn't tell me to stay out the way. All he did was to tell me to stop accepting shit at face value and stop getting punked. So when I realized that it's not about my social skills and that people keep on making the same 7th grade mistakes, literally is really why I learned that I'm not a sociopath, but I technically am on paper because of all those 5150s, but I'm like, all those 5150s are forced. All those 5150s are people making fun of me to a point where I act out, and then they're trying to bait beef for being uncivil when I didn't know that telling the full story can actually benefit. It doesn't matter what the full story is. It matters about the end result. I'm like, nope. So the events after the sociopath, after they stopped, is when I literally figured out what I have to do to get my children. I'm like, you know what? I'm having 2. One's already a year and a half, and the other 2 are just born. And I literally have to work hard. So what I do is I get a job at Safeway, but I also apply for a job at Dave & Buster's. And literally, before that happens is I get another dishwashing position in another restaurant, and literally it's just like the other job, but the girls are way thicker, the girls are way older, and they're all talking about hip-hop and shit. And you know what the devil is telling me? Is like, you know, your favorite job in the world, Eris? This is it, but this is it at a higher standard. This is the girls that you deal with, but your age. Literally, the girls are literally twice as bad, and they literally try to play me like they try to give me some lunch, and literally, she's like, oh, you got held it. See, there was a pizza in a pan, and she literally, oh, you gotta hold the pan like this. I'm like, don't fucking play me, literally calling her out on her bullshit, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, and this and that. Literally, she responded, come cool and collect, so I couldn't call her out, and the devil was like, you jumped to conclusions. I'm like, no, you're a fucking idiot. Nobody presents something in a pan and then doesn't deliver it on a plate. Now, she knows I can't call her out, and I know I can't call her out. There are some limitations I have. They think I have this God complex that literally I can't see through a situation like that. That I'm going to continue to call her out on her bullshit, even though I know I'm at a disadvantage. And you know why I saw through? I'm like, you know why you gaslight me? It's because you put me in the same fucking situation when you're supposed to help me grow. Oh, how the fuck is the devil supposed to help you grow? Why don't you actually put me against a real challenge? Something completely different. Because it didn't matter if I was good at being a dishwasher. The manager kept on giving me extra tasks on top of extra tasks on top of extra tasks. Literally, and you know what I realized? That was to get my hormones pumping, so I would finally do what I didn't do at the other job. And I didn't fall for it, and I quit before they caught me. And so I learned from my mistakes. I stopped doing that stupid gorilla shit, and I focus on my mouthpiece, and I go to Level Up Expo 2019, and I make history. I prove everybody that I am more than what I was at 18, and that I am everything that I wasn't, and that I'm a better dancer, and that I'm everything. Learning from Raj. Literally doing everything that I learned from the streets, but applying it to an educational platform. Being street smart about the situation, but handling it in an educated way. This was the year when me giving myself a chance to win was not being controlled by a biased environment. So, the third day of Level Up Expo comes, and there's this girl. Now, Jordan cosplay as Overhaul, and there was this other girl that was sent by Jordan, that I knew that was sent by Jordan, named Lisa. I saw a little bit of a belly. I knew she was there to set me up. Very first thing, you're sent by somebody else. You're both Overhaul. This is no fucking coincidence. But I decided to get her number anyway. I'm like, okay, she has some big T's. I'm going to try something new. So I start talking to Lisa. And I ask her question after question. Literally telling her that I have kids. The first thing I asked Lisa is, if I brought a girl, would you get mad? And she's like, we're not dating, fam. I'm like, okay, so you're being defensive after I already said that I'm already with someone. And so I know she's there to collect information, so I start acting desperate. And I'm all like, oh, you seen that one episode of Dave Chappelle? She's like, ha, Dave Chappelle, I love that man. I know she's there to set me up the entire time, so I'm all like, oh, them titties and this and that. And so I start talking about Grape Juice and My Hero Academia. She's all like, oh, Manetta's the homie and this and that. And so literally, I keep on telling her, I'm like, you know I have a kid. I know I have this and that. So I keep on telling her about how I can get another one, And she knows, because I did the same thing with Jordan in a different context, because she disrespected me. What Lisa was trying to do is she was trying to say that I'm not that easy, and I knew she wasn't that easy, and I knew before what even happens that fat women have the advantage on pretty women where it comes to dating, because a lot of guys don't want to deal with hypergamy, so they deal with a fat girl on purpose. I literally ran into a fat girl that was sent by a fine girl. So I started telling her about I have 2 other kids. And so she's like, damn, how many kids you got? I'm like, I don't know, to be honest. But I texted that shit like IDK, TBH. And she literally replies, damn, you riled, or hella fucking crying emojis. That shit was so funny. And I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when your nuts are the size of hot air balloons. That's what happens when you don't use protection. And she literally winked at me with an emoji. What nobody knew is that I had Abby. And the same thing I knew when she said that's what happens when you don't use protection is the same fucking context when Abby says that she loves me, but she's already with someone. And they didn't know that I actually had a girlfriend before, so that's why I knew not to take it slow. But the same way that I fooled Lisa is the same way that Brooke came in, because I was just being myself. They felt like I was being desperate, but I'm like, yeah, I was kind of desperate. If you want me to be honest with you, that was 20% of my effort back in the day. So yeah, I had to put a little bit of effort, but not too much to where it's detrimental. I still have a whole 80% on her. And so literally, it was so funny because at the end, after all those punchlines, after she agreed to have sex with me in a text message, I text her, and here's what they come at me with. This is after I get cocky at the Yu-Gi-Oh Club. This is after I do this and that. This is after they false accuse me as a predator. I asked her, so when you got psyched through to the crib? And she's all like, are you hitting on me? I'm all like, funny. And it was actually hella funny because I was texting my baby mama before I texted Lisa, so I'm all like, funny, I just got a text from my baby mama, but she tried to stop it in between. She texted me before I got the reply from my baby mama. So I'm like, funny, I just got done talking to my baby mama. Go sit in the corner if you think I'm gonna fall for that grade A level bullshit. And she's all like, ugh, you must be retarded and lonely. I have way more options. I'm fat and this and that. Basically what the fuck she's trying to tell me. I'm not gonna give her credit. I know she has way more options because she's fat, but I didn't think about that when I sent the text message. So she literally clowned on me saying, oh, you're by yourself most of the time. You have 3 kids that you don't see. And stuff like, that's why you can't keep a relationship, this and that. So she used everything that's not in the public. She literally ignored my complex situation, literally stated the fact that I'm mostly by myself. I'm like, haha, that's why I agreed for you to have sex with me now. But I took it to heart because of what I was going through the entire year. I'm like, oh, don't jump to conclusions. That's because I said that can be made things. I'm multi-dimensional. I'm like, nope. I saw through this because I did the same thing with Abby. And so I took it to heart. The angle she came out with, oh, you're a fucking predator and this and that. I know that you were trying to get in my pants, and so I'm gonna block you, is what the fuck she told me in that text message. But she didn't say that. She's all like, oh, I have a man and this like that. You're a retarded lowly. I have little to no interest in you whatsoever. That's why you were texting yourself basically all that time. You were talking to yourself, this and that. Like, I knew that you were... Exactly. She knew I was pretending to be desperate. What Lisa was trying to say is that I was actually desperate. But no, that was not the case. And that's why I said Coolio at the end. But literally, I did hesitate because she did hit me with a big moral. So here's what happens is, after that, is I try to text my baby mama again to get the validation. She's like, I don't know what your deal is, but I'm going to get my boyfriend to step in. And so I'm all like, whatever, I tried. That's all that matters. I'll just find someone else. I stayed consistent with my belief, and that's why she lost followers, that's why she lost this and that. It's because she hit me with a shit ton of logic when I was about to leave. That's why Justin hit me with a shit load of logic when I was about to fight him, saying that you need to keep your calm, you can't swing randomly when you're too slow to keep up. Lisa didn't get it. They didn't get anything out of me but that one roast. And once I realized how trivial a roast is, you can't roast a manager or else you get fired. You can't roast someone in position, like I said in the Revy BM video with Zariah. You need discipline. I dealt with discipline my whole life and got nothing, so I decided to call it out. Finally, even though you're in a position of power, I got you fired because I didn't think I had rights, because you raised me that because I'm black, I have no rights. And they try to say that I'm autistic and that I have no social skills when I'm an anime fan, and why I tried to be civil, but they forced me into that reckless lifestyle. So I got out before I can literally get too deep into the sea. And that is the sociopath excuse part 3. That is them. Now that I know the full story, now that I know what they're connected to, now that I know what the fuck it is behind the scenes. Not every corporate job is like that, but I realized where they're coming at me. I'm like, you wouldn't have to deal with these gang members being managers if you would have got a college degree. Because that's the difference between a fast food job and an actual real job, because they're saying that, oh, you wouldn't have to deal with that. In silence, I know what the full situation is. If you're wondering why that is, that's not for every job. But when you get an occupation, you don't have to deal with that shit. When you become a doctor, you don't have to deal with high school shit. The reason why I was dealing with high school shit is because I didn't go to college. And I admit that I fucked up. But they're trying to say that that was my only option, and that's where they fucked up.